Do you think I just told you to hop for no reason?
It's not going to work again, though. It's
It'll work.
The same problem.
It'll work. Watch your head.
He's going to hit his head.
Watch your head.
No, yeah.
What we need to remember is that all of this orchestrated lawfare against Donald Trump has one goal, and that, of course, is to stop him from becoming president. Of course, there's a couple of problems with this. It's not working. Trump is gaining in popularity, and everyone is starting to actually see through it. So as we've seen all the poll numbers come out, and we see that Trump is gaining, of course, in all of these strange demographics that Republicans normally have trouble with, such as the youth vote, the independent vote, the minority vote, then it's clear that all of this has gone completely sideways for the Democrats, and therefore for Joe Biden. I mean, after all, why has he now agreed to start doing a debate after hemming and hawing about it for months on end? So what we're going to see today, of course, is a little bit of that backfire as to why it's not working. So before we jump into that, don't forget to like and comment on this video. It helps me break through the YouTube algorithm. Let's go ahead and check this out.
Well, guys, good morning to you. You know, this is one of the most closely watched counties here in the key battleground state of Georgia. So it seemed like the perfect place to come out and talk to Republican voters and see all of the coverage, all of the things that we're talking about with this New York hush money trial. How is it impacting them down here? So I spoke with about 5 different Republicans, and they represent a very wide cross section, a very diverse group of Republican voters here in this county. And I asked them, how are they being impacted by this trial? Are they paying close attention? And what impact might a guilty verdict have on their decision to support the former president? Here's what they told me. Take a look.
Do each of you support Donald Trump?
I do.
Yes. Yes? Yes for all 3 of you? Yes. Has this trial changed your opinion, even caused you to waver or question that at all?
No, it's actually caused me to support him more. I just don't believe there's a coincidence that we have a trial happening in Atlanta. We have one happening in New York. So the question people are beginning to ask themselves, like I did, is like, why now?
It's pretty much everybody says they're picking on him. You know, people are tired of going after him, and you see it in so many areas. It's really not a big issue in the party. Actually, they're really making everybody mad, and they look at a big bully, and the government is the bully.
This is going to be your first time casting a ballot. What is it for you that drives your support of the former president?
I think always fighting. I mean, he's taken so much just defense from news and everything, but he still hasn't given up. He keeps fighting to do what's right.
I've talked to many people who formerly identified as a Democrat. They have changed their political persuasion to independent, and they are looking forward to voting for Trump. Wow. Because now they find something in common with a political candidate at that level.
When you say they find commonality, what is that commonality?
They have felt persecuted by the system of American injustice. And it's not a stretch for them to think that Trump may be a victim as well. People see that there's some kind of commonality between himself and maybe all the black men that have been incarcerated and the families that have been impacted by black male incarceration here.
So all of this lawfare against Donald Trump is actually solidifying his base. It is not driving them away. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, it's actually making him more popular with other demographics. And of course, what's also mentioned there is, yes, people are starting to see, isn't it strange that all of these cases are actually brought at the same time, right? You have one after the other, and right around election time too. They've had all of these allegations for years, and now they all of a sudden decide to bring them up into the court system? Yeah, very strange. However, Donald Trump is weathering the storm very well, because despite being a billionaire, he actually comes across as very relatable, and people seeing him being persecuted actually just makes him even more relatable. But also going along with the fact that he's connecting with the common man and people are seeing through this facade, you also have many people scratching their head as to what is the actual crime here.
The best lawyers we know, no one can figure out what exactly Trump did wrong here.
Even the FBI.
I mean, it's the most remarkable thing. The Justice Department looked at it. The Federal Election Commission looked at it. The prior district attorney in New York looked at it. Only Alvin Bragg has gone after it with a bunch of Biden former DOJ associates working on this case. I mean, what's he done wrong? That's what is so baffling. But the key point, I think, is, you mentioned it, I think that the needle hasn't moved, and it's probably backfire against Joe Biden. People see this for what it is. And it may be true, Senator Tuberville, from the other cases as well. Your thought?
Yeah, and you can tell this is all orchestrated, and President Trump said that. This comes from President Biden. This all comes from the White House. All these indictments are coming from the White House, putting pressure on President Trump. But as you said, it's backfiring. It's giving him, he couldn't afford, all this advertising he's getting, no matter good or bad. But it's just unbelievable. But again, President Trump's, he's doing, I can't believe it. I mean, he sits there all day and he's good spirits. He knows he's going to have an opportunity to get through this. Hopefully he doesn't have to fight any more of these. Look, the indictments are starting to kind of unravel as we go down the road here. But he knows he's got to get out and start campaigning, but his numbers are way up. He actually read those today. I think he's ahead of every poll except for one in the swing states, and it's even getting better in that one.
And he may be expanding the base.
Before we continue, I do want to mention, what are you going to do with your dollar? Joe Biden, of course, is printing out more cash than ever, causing massive inflation and devaluation of our currency. So how can you protect your investments? Well, you can go to Genesis Gold Group and convert your 401k or IRA into a gold-backed retirement account. And of course, you can access them by going to angryteachergold.com or by calling 1-800-200-4653 to take control of your future. Get gold-backed securities, protect your dollar, and get back on the gold standard. And by the way, Genesis Gold Group is a faith-based organization, so you can feel confident that you are not supporting a woke corporation. Now let's get back to it. So as was pointed out by Senator Tuberville, when you're talking about the case in New York City, the FBI looked at it, the DOJ looked at it, everyone looked at it, including the previous district attorney in New York City, and none of them decided to bring any suit until George Soros-funded DA Bragg came in. And now, of course, we've got to get Trump at all costs. And the case basically is unraveling because everyone is looking at this and saying, there's no crime here. There's no leg to stand on. It doesn't make any sense. And this, of course, is pointed out in a hilarious segment on CNN.
Would you just rest your case if you were the defense? The prosecution, let's assume they finish their case whenever this cross-examination's over, and there's a redirect, et cetera, and the prosecution says, okay, the prosecution rests. Would you, if you were Todd Blanche, say, well, we rest too, like they didn't meet their burden?
I think there's a good argument in favor of doing that. I mean, at this point, unless they really think that there's something that comes out from Michael Cohen's testimony, I think at this point there would be a strong argument for the defense to just stand up and say, look, the prosecution hasn't met its burden in this case. Here's all the things that they have to prove. They haven't gotten there, and it's time for everybody to go home. I think I don't know that they'll do that, but I think there's an argument in favor of
It's
that.
kind of a baller move when defense attorneys do that, but I wonder, would this client accept that? He likes people fighting for them. You know that better than I do.
I do. And I think he'd like to push and get as many witnesses on as he can. But I think the strategy is probably right. This case hasn't gone in the way I think it was billed to go in. So as the days go on and this case looks weaker and weaker, I think it's probably less that they have to put on for defense.
It's an open secret now. All of these cases, of course, have been orchestrated by the Biden administration, and none of them are going basically as they wanted. And all of them, of course, are designed to stop Donald Trump from being elected. So as usual, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.